A Christmas Story by Carrie Jane Thomas. This was published in the Christian Recorder in 1883. A Christmas Story. It is Christmas night, and Mr. and Mrs. Leslie are seated in their cozy parlor surrounded by their 4 children, Kitty, Susie, Willie, and Minnie, who is Papa's pet and allowed to do almost as she pleases. They're talking about the one thing Christmas brings, Santa Claus, each busy telling what is wanted. They keep such chattering you can scarcely hear your ears. When Mr. Leslie says, "Children, it's 10 o'clock," all the noises stop at once and their faces become very sad, for they all know that it is their bedtime, and knowing their father's rules, no one dares protest, although the time has passed unusually quick. At last, the silence is broken by pet Minnie. "I'm not going to bed at all tonight, Papa. I am determined to see Santa Claus this night, for Lucy Bennett told me when we were coming from school that Ma and Pa were the Santa Claus and that they put all the things into our stockings. But I told her I did not believe it. I am 10 years old and never saw Santa Claus in my whole life, so I shall sit up all night." "Well, you won't get anything," says Kitty. "I don't care for anything but to see Santa Claus," answers Minnie. Her mama smiled and said, "I am afraid my little girl could not bear the sight of Santa, even if she could stay awake until he comes, which is very doubtful." "I know he won't give you anything, 'cause you so quizzitive," says Willie. "All the reason you gets anything is because he feels sorry for a poor tongue-tied boy like you that can't talk plain," responds Minnie. "You won't be so fierce in the morning when you begin to beg," retorts Willie. "Willie," calls his mother, "you ought to be ashamed of yourself to tease your sister so. Go to bed this moment." All of the children trooped off to bed. Mama and Papa went up to their room, leaving poor Minnie all alone. As the stockings were all hung in the parlor, Minnie says to herself, "He is obliged to pass through here, and I will sit close to my own stocking so I can see when he goes to put the goodies in," Minnie exclaims as she hears the clock strike 11. "I am so glad it is 11. I won't have to wait long. They say he always comes at 12. If poor Minnie had known that she was destined to see at 12, she would have gone to bed. But she did not. And so the time goes by, and it is almost 12 o'clock. Minnie is sleepy. She looks at the clock, only a quarter to 12. "I cannot go to sleep. I must see him. And besides, how they will laugh when I tell them I got sleepy and could not wait." Just then she goes off, and the clock strikes 12. The door opens and walks in Santa Claus, followed by 20 of his confederates. Santa Claus himself is a little fat man with white bushy beard and white hair covered with the frost of many winters. He has a doll for Kitty, a horse and wagon for Willie, dresses for Sue, and in fact, everything they all wanted. But for Minnie, he had nothing. Minnie began to whimper. "What is the matter?" asked Santa in a gruff voice, as if he had just seen her. "I want something too." "Then that will be more than you want presently," and he proceeded to fill the stockings. When he had filled all but Minnie's, he gave a whistle and marched through the room and passed out, followed by another whom she had not seen. His name was on his cap, and Minnie saw that it was Disobedience. He was loaded with articles of every description. Minnie saw her blue silk dress, which she remembered wearing to an evening party when her mother told her not to do so. Then there was her last birthday present, a silver cup from Papa, which her mother told her never to carry to the spring. But she disobeyed and dropped it into the spring. There were many other things, too numerous to mention. All this Minnie took in at a glance. He passed on, and another took his place. He had scraps of rick-rack, crochet, and knitting dangling from the head to foot. He also carried a box in his hand, which was filled with dolls' clothes, dresses, and aprons without sleeves and without hems. There were the mittens she promised to Widow James, but never finished. He passed on, and another came in with Minnie's books, torn and scratched with dolls' heads and crippled men and women drawn on them, which would make you laugh to see. The next had half-worn shoes and stockings, which might have been given to some poor children, but Minnie had allowed them to lie around out of doors until they were unfit for use. Another came in, making such horrible faces that Minnie covers her face with her hands and begins to scream, which awakens her to find that she had only been dreaming. She is as cold as she can be, for the fire has gone out and the room dark. Minnie jumps up and goes to bed, where Kitty has been for the last 3 hours. Next morning, the children were up searching their stockings, which were filled with everything they had asked for, and to Willie's surprise, Minnie's stocking was overflowing. You may be sure that was a memorable Christmas for Minnie, and I not need to tell you that she's over 40 years old and she has never tried waiting for Santa Claus again.